I
No,
love
I
when I see
actually like
individual.
I like that Aurora actually. Move your big head. I mean, it's so large, it's filling the screen. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I still would decipher it though. Hey, we had an Aurora the night before last here.
Did you see it?
Well, no, because I didn't know about it. I spoke to the Fort Collins Digital Camera Club, and they were posting pictures from the night before. And it wasn't
Wow.
as spectacular as yours, but it was a lot of reds and greens, which in Fort Collins, wow.
There's been actually a lot of Aurora activity around the country. I have a group that I'm part of up in New England, and they've been seeing it regularly there recently,
Wow. Yeah.
unusually.
I used to live in Aurora. Do you think it was named after that?
Yes, I do.
Hey, today I want to talk about something that's been going through my head quite a bit lately. It's not
Okay.
even been related completely to photography. It's ego. I
How big yours
often,
is?
not nearly
Sorry.
as big as your head. Um, Photographically, I have found ego to be the enemy to vision. It
Interesting.
is something that makes us want to be important in the eyes of others, to be looked upon as important or as a great photographer or having gone somewhere and gotten a great image. And
Huh.
there's all of us have a desire to be acknowledged, as Linda Ronstadt said. It's good to be acknowledged, but that's not why we create. And so I have found that there are certain vision blockers, things that cut us off from our own vision. And ego has been a huge one. And I'll be honest, I've most of my life have been had a big ego and wanted to be recognized, wanted to be acknowledged, wanted to be seen as important. But with age, I think, and now I'm going through a relative who's about to pass, you reflect on what's really important in life. And I just saw a video on Instagram where a man, I think he was a minister, he said he'd been to thousands of people's passings,
Wow.
been there as they died. And he says they don't say things like, "Hey John, can you bring those golf trophies in? I want to see those before I pass." And if I could speak for him, I doubt they say, "Hey, can you bring all the awards I've received from my photography? And can you bring all the lens works I was in so I can see those before I die?" No, they want to be near their loved ones and they want to be around people they care about. And so that's been causing me to reflect on ego. One, how worthless it is, but two, how harmful it is to the vision process. Whenever we're thinking about, will Brooks like this portfolio? Or when I post this image, will it get as many likes as my last one or as many as John's? John and I both post one from, say, Oregon coast and being bothered that John got more likes than I got. So I've really been focusing on the worthlessness and harmfulness of ego and how to combat that, especially when
Wow.
it comes to vision and photography.
Boy, I got nothing right off the top of the bat other than, feeling um, caught up in ego, honestly, right? Because
Oh,
I'm sitting here thinking, and I was going to use the word reprove, but that's probably not the right word or feeling that I'm having. But yeah, if I think about why did I submit to lens work, it was ego. There's no other reason, really. I mean, I wanted to share that work, but boy, it is a good feeling, to be published in what I view as one of the best photography rather magazines on the planet, right? But why? So, but that's
but
ego.
I really want to separate the reason we create. If you were creating the whole time thinking about, could I get this in lens work? I think that gets in the way of your vision, and you're not going to do your best work because you're creating for your audience,
Okay.
Brooks and lens work. But once you've created it, I don't think there's anything wrong at all to be proud of that work and wanting to receive acknowledgement or even praise, because that's not why you created it, I hope.
Oh, absolutely
There's a
not.
big difference between the two, and often people they confuse the one with the other.
Boy, that's a huge revelation. That's a light bulb moment for me right now because you're right. The ego part of it was wanting to be published in lens work. The work that I got published I never once had a thought, hey, this is the project. This is the one. As a matter of fact, it happened all after the fact. In other words, I did those Aurora shoots, two of those shoots, and then I was sitting in front of a computer saying, gosh, what could I submit to LensWork? What would make sense? And when I started converting Auroras to black and white, I went, there it is. Duh. I'm loving these black and white Aurora images. I wonder if this would make sense to submit to LensWork. That was the process. So I hear what you're saying. The ego was not involved at all in the process of creating those, receiving and then creating those images at all. But certainly the ego was what was motivating me to submit those to LensWork. And I like how you said that maybe that's not bad. It's sharing your work, being
Well,
proud of
it's
the work. I
human.
don't think,
We all would love everyone to like our work. But if I start saying, I got a lot more likes with this one technique, I'm going to start doing that more often because people liked it. Then that's a vision killer. That's a vision blocker.
yeah.
Once I start listening to the other voices, my vision will recede. As long as I keep focused on my vision, it gets stronger and the ego gets in the way.
I love that receipts because it does. It takes a back seat, right? In other words, another way to put it, takes a back seat to likes. It takes a back seat to pleasing others. That all that stuff comes forward again, and that vision is now back here, which that vision should be right here all
Yeah.
the time.
And what happens is the more we focus on external accolades, and likes, and sales and publications, our vision gets weaker and weaker and weaker until it literally disappears. And you hear people all the time saying, you may have a vision, but I just don't have one. You do. It's just been pushed so far back for so long that you literally don't think you have a vision. You
Gosh, I
do.
love that. I love that. That's so true. And it's true about photography. It's true about singing and music and art, all those
Yes.
creative things. A lot of people think they don't have, and it's just because they've been either told it. I remember telling on one of our shows, my brother David, who was told, you shouldn't sing, David. And then it took until he was 50 years old to get the courage to sing in a choir at church. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, we're so glad you're here. You have a great voice. You're adding so much to the choir.
Well,
And
we believe
but
others.
yeah, but for 40 years he wouldn't dare sing because a music teacher told him he couldn't. So that's having that vision recede. I just love this conversation because it's helping me. I mean, it really is to separate ego in the process of creation, where I think that's what you're saying. That ego has to be gone. It needs to be so vision driven, present and forward, and saying and honoring. I love that language of honoring that vision as you're in that creative process.
But then we go to you finish this project, you've used your vision, and hopefully you love it, and you submit and you get accolades. You still got to keep in check those accolades because it's so easy to slip back into that addiction of wanting more accolades and more and more. And whenever we base our self worth on external accolades, we're not in control. And we then cede control to those things. That's not good.
And I think a good example of that is your Ghosts of Auschwitz-Birkenau. And then somebody said, hey, you're on to something big here. And then you went to England with your daughter. She was covered with the sheet to look like ghosts.
Yeah.
And that was not vision driven at all. It was external.
Yeah.
Um,
It was a
you
marketing
know,
ploy to take advantage of past success, to ride
yeah,
the wave. It was
yeah,
everything against vision because it was
yeah,
done for a marketing reason. It was done with no vision, no passion. It was
yeah.
terrible, but it was a great lesson. So
Oh,
it takes us back to failure is a great
yeah.
teacher.
Which I think we'll talk about in our next show. Great
Okay.
show today, buddy. Thank you for well having being vulnerable enough to share what you're going through and learning, because that took a little courage to kind of talk about ego and recognizing, but I appreciate you sharing that. This has been helpful for me. I hope it's been helpful for all of you. As usual, ring the bell, do a dance, twirl around 5 times. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? I don't know, but anyways, do what you're supposed to do so that you'll always get our show. And leave your comments. We love hearing the comments.
Yes, we do. Thanks.
Short concise comments.